Foundation by Isaac Asimov. Part 1. The Psychohistorians. Chapter 1. Harry Seldon, born in the 11,988th year of the Galactic Era, died 12,069. The dates are more commonly given in terms of the current foundational era as -79 to the year 1 FE. Born to middle-class parents on Helicon, Arcturus sector, where his father, in a legend of doubtful authenticity, was a tobacco grower in the hydroponic plants of the planet. He early showed amazing ability in mathematics. Anecdotes concerning his ability are innumerable, and some are contradictory. At the age of 2, he is said to have... Undoubtedly, his greatest contributions were in the field of psychohistory. Seldon found the field little more than a set of vague axioms. He left it a profound statistical science. The best existing authority we have for the details of his life is the biography written by Gail Dornick, who, as a young man, met Seldon 2 years before the great mathematician's death.
Title: Foundation. Foundation and Empire. Second Foundation. Author: Isaac Asimov. Part number 1. Part title: Psychohistory and Encyclopedia. Encyclopedia Galactica, 116th edition. Entry: Harry Seldon. Born the 11,988th year of the Galactic Era. Died 12,069. Birthplace: Helicon, Arcturus sector. He showed amazing ability in mathematics at a very early age. Anecdotes concerning his ability are innumerable and some contradictory. Undoubtedly his greatest contributions were in the field of psychohistory. Seldon found the field little more than a set of vague axioms. He left it a profound statistical science. The best existing authority we have for the details of his life is the biography written by Gail Dornick, who, as a young man, met Seldon 2 years before the great mathematician's death.
Hello, welcome to another one of my videos. Now, I wanted to do this video yesterday, but I abandoned the project, so I'm going to do it today. And what I'm doing is my first review of the first 2 episodes of The Foundation, released on Apple TV. Released on Apple TV, starring Jared Harris. I think I can zoom in, you can probably see the people there. To your right there, says Jared Harris. Lee Pace, I think he's the Emperor, and Lou LaBelle. I think that's the young girl who's going to be playing a key character who I'm going to discuss as I proceed with this review. I tried to do it yesterday, but there were so many things that were going through my mind that I could not necessarily gain a good grasp of what I wanted to say, and this is the reason why. From an anecdotal perspective, this particular book or genre, as it specifically speaking about Isaac Asimov's work, The Foundation, is quite important to me. Now, I haven't read the book, but I've listened to the audiobook, and I've also, what I listen to regularly, very frequently, I think over the past probably 2 years, to put a conservative estimate on it, the dramatization of The Foundation by the BBC from 1973. I think I listened to that probably about, in all honesty, probably about once a week. But I don't listen to it in its entirety. I listen to it as I go to bed. I'm very familiar with the characters. I love it. And what I can say is this, is that if you listen to the audiobook, presuming, of course, because I'll be honest with you, I'd never read the book. I never sat down and read the book. I just listened to the audiobook. What I find quite amazing is the production that the BBC put together. Now, when I say BBC dramatization, what I mean is not a visual dramatization or radio production from 1973. And what you find is that it is very, very loyal to the source material, the book. What you get with this production from Apple is quite different. They are the same sort of characters, but they've remixed it in a way that you can't be sure. It depends. If you're a purist, then you're going to have a problem. If you're one of those people who hates all this stuff to do with multiculturalism and all this type of stuff, that you get with all these incel types and all these anti-Star Wars things, all these anti-woke type of people, then you're going to have a serious problem. But for me, I suppose I'm very familiar with the characters that I've come to know over a period of probably 2 to 3 years, to be honest with you, every day. And to see that character sort of change as radically as it has, even some main characters, it's a bit difficult. But then again, if you just take it for what it is and believe that it has been somewhat updated, what we're going to do, turn that off, and then we're going to see whether we can move it forward. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this back to the opening, so you can see how visually beautiful it is. Now, I was a bit depressed when I saw this too, because this is the opening scene. Okay, now this here, initially I thought, what is this stuff? All this stuff with the one second, yo. I have to try and get this right. It's a bit harder than I thought. Okay, here we go. All this stuff with the murals, and what you get is this sort of powdery mural stuff. And I thought, what is this glitter stuff? And then later it makes sense, because they've incorporated something to do with a mural that shifts over time, and they use this particular special kind of pigment that makes it happen, and it represents the Empire. Now, let's talk about let's give an overview of the book. The book was written in 1942 by Isaac Asimov, I believe, and I think it was published in 1942, if I'm not mistaken, May 1942, that's what it says, but it was officially published, probably republished, I don't know, in 1952. So I don't know which date is actually correct. Was it written during the World War, the Second World War, and then later, 10 years later, then republished? But let's say the official publishing date is 1952. And then you get a series on top of series from that. From 1950, I think you get some in 1956 or 58. I can't remember the exact dates, but 1952 is what you can actually pinpoint as being probably the publishing date for the book Foundation, which is a foundation in truth for many other sci-fi series that you see today. Particularly the one that people refer to is Star Wars. And quite frankly, all right, somebody mentioned, because I have seen, to my shame, I have watched some other reviews, because I was having a bit of difficulty. You can see that there's a certain similarity with Star Wars. So there's a sort of, the people that have decided to make this series of the Foundation, you can see that they are also influenced by what they've seen in Star Wars themselves. You know what I'm saying? Now, I say I was a bit disappointed, because this particular planet, Terminus, was going to be a harsh environment, but they've made it extra harsh. It's almost like that planet that Luke landed on, when the rebels, not landed on, but where the rebels escaped to, after, what was it? When they were being chased, I think at the very beginning of The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, when they were being sought by by Darth Vader and stuff. It was this kind of planet. But I wasn't expecting this type of planet for it to look like this. In the book, it says that the planet that they were exiled to, and I'll speak about the characters' reason, I've kind of jumped ahead a little bit, was devoid of metal minerals. You know what I'm saying? That was the main thing. But anyway, let's talk about the story. Now, the story is this: it's like there's a great galactic empire. Let's try and move forward a little bit. This here is something that I don't know about. And all these kind of kids, I don't know about them. But let's move forward. And this lady here is supposed to be, she's going to be the mayor. Now, this gentleman here is Jared Harris, of course, and he's supposed to be one of the main characters. Everything starts with him, a mathematician by the name of Harry Seldon. Now, Harry is Hari Seldon. Seldon, as you spell Seldon. Okay, and here he's with his adopted son. Now, this adopted son doesn't actually come into play in the original book. It comes in later in a book called Prelude to the Foundation, which I haven't read and I don't know much about, but they've incorporated him inside here. So they sort of jumbled everything together. They sort of, they're shaking up the salad a bit. Do you understand me? But the narrative, and the narrative being told is being told from the perspective of, let's try and find her. Yeah, her. Now, her name is Gal Dornick. In the book, Gal Dornick is a guy, but they've made this lady, this young girl, to be Gal Dornick with special qualities, basically mathematical qualities and stuff. And that kind of threw me off initially when I saw the trailer. But I'm watching it right now and I'm kind of getting used to it. And I suppose if you don't know about the story, if you're not as familiar with it as I am, then you're going to just accept it for what it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are going to be a few people going to backtrack and look at the original and see that, oh yeah, they cast a black girl in this position. They cast a black woman in the position of mayor too. Oh, this anti-woke shit and this is good. I don't know. I don't think people are really that interested in the Foundation like they are with Star Wars or He-Man and all these other childish stuff. This is more grown-up stuff. So I don't think it's going to draw that much attention, that much negativity, to be honest with you. I think the hentai crowd aren't going to be that bothered with this piece of work here, put together by Apple, which is quite lustrous, very, very beautifully made. You know what I'm saying? But basically, she's won a competition to go over to the big center of the galactic empire, which is a planet called Trantor, which has about 40 billion population. The whole planet is covered with a city, and because of that, they have to sort of build downwards. You understand? There are people in that city. Listen, you have to watch that to understand. It's kind of complicated. But basically, the guy that she's going to meet, Harry Seldon, now she's on her way there. Now she's being cast aside from her own planet because they're trying to suggest that they have a problem on that planet. And she's a mathematician and she wants to solve it with science, but they've turned to religion. So she's a bit of an outcast. So they're all giving her dirty looks and she has to leave her planet and go over to where she won this maths competition, where she meets this guy here, if I take it back a bit, and he is a spy for the Empire. You know what I mean? Because they know about her, they know about the work of Harry Seldon. Now, I talked about Harry Seldon. Harry Seldon is a guy who uses psychohistory to predict the future. And his prediction that's caused all the problems is that this great empire that has lasted about 12,000 years is going to collapse in 500 years. It's going to collapse in 500 years, 5 centuries. It's been around for 12,000 years. But because of the way things have been going, there's an accelerated pattern that suggests it's going to collapse in 500 years. And because of that, the empire wants to clamp down. The empire is determined to clamp down on that kind of information, not cause panic within a... How much did they say the whole galactic empire is about? Something trillions, about trillions and trillions, basically. And the empire and the emperor is quite strong. So this is at Trantor. All right, this is Trantor. And there's this giant lift that takes him all the way down from space. It takes 14 hours to get to the planet. All right. Okay, so yeah, this is it basically. You can see that it's very, very beautiful the way it looks. Now, remember I talked about that mural and the pigment moving. This is part of it in the Great Hall, where they depict the history of the emperors, Cleon the First and stuff. Now, this is a guy who takes care of the mural, and apparently, now this gentleman here is actually the emperor. Now, I'll get to him in a minute, but he's speaking to one of the people who've worked for him for about 65 years, and they say that they found some material on him. Let's see whether I can see his face. You see, I don't want to play this directly. If I can see him. Yeah, him. They say he's worked for them for about 65 years and stuff, but he still kills him because he found some literature belonging to Harry Seldon on him. So the emperor is very, very callous, very cruel. Well, very, very, very strict. Now, when I say emperor, they don't call him emperor, they call him empire. Because basically what's happened, according to this particular version of the Foundation, is that all these three people are the same people who have been cloned at different times from the very first emperor. So you will find that the one in the middle that you're looking at now is called dusk. That means end of the day. The one to the left of you is called day, and the one to the right of you, the little one, is called dawn. All right, but they've all been genetically cloned from the first emperor called Cleon the First. Okay, so that's him. So they've actually done it rather well, where you see like this old man's face is quite kind of similar to the younger version. You know what I mean? Very similar to the younger version. I don't know how they've done that. But he, more or less, the younger version, called Day, is the one who's really in charge. You know what I'm saying? And the mannerisms and everything are all the same. So, that being it, what can I say? You see, they want to settle a dispute between two planets, and that's going to be important later. So, but anyway, the bottom line is this. If you are familiar with the old Foundation, all right, this is going to subvert your expectations a bit. It really is. It's going to throw you off a little bit, but you just have to set it for what it is and probably go with it. And what would I give it? I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10, because basically for it to actually be 7 and 8, it'd have to be faithful to the story, and it's not. But it's still good nonetheless. It's still good nonetheless. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think I want to go into the second part and talk about it, because it'll just take ages. I can't be bothered with that. But yeah, this is the best I can do for now. Thank you very much for watching. And since I don't want to play it and get in trouble and get a strike, this is as good as it's going to get. Thank you very much, and goodbye.